And the start time is officially 10:22. Wanted to get started because I know that they were running late and she's trying to get back on schedule, and I want to give you a lot of time to get there. Chair Robinson is now present. Kentucky Tech Year in Review. The Kentucky KBE Associate Commissioner Beth Hargis and Dr. Hargis and Division Director Beth Engel will provide the report.
Okay, thank you very much for allowing us to be here today and give you some really exciting Kentucky Tech Year in Review. So I am Beth Engel, the Division Director of the Technical Schools, of course, with Dr. Hargis here, our Associate Commissioner from the Office of Career and Technical Education. So we're going to start with a quick update that, Kentucky still operates 50 area technology centers throughout the state, and those centers serve 113 school districts and 141 different schools within our state. The area technology centers are actively involved in KBE's United We Learn initiative by providing vibrant and innovative learning experiences for the ATC students. They are very strong in their community partnerships by hosting semi-annual program advisory and steering committee meetings and working with business and industry for work-based learning and other student opportunities within, of course, their regional areas. Next slide, please. So as you can see through our enrollment slide here, the ATCs consistently serve about 21,000 students. During the 1920 school year, we had 3 ATCs that did convert over to local control, and then a 4th school also went to local control in the following 21-22 school year, contributing to the drop in enrollment that you do see in the 22-23 year. We do not have an answer just yet as to the enrollment drop completely, but it could be that the CTE for London local school districts, and then a renewed interest in CTE programming within those districts is kind of leading to dispersed enrollment throughout all the different CTE opportunities that students now have within the state. So we also have end of program assessments that our students have the opportunity to take. They are a part of accountability. These are state-developed assessments that are based upon clear and concise standards that are identified by our Kentucky employers. So these are aligned with our CTE career pathways. They're associated with statewide articulation agreements as well. So that students who are successful in passing these assessments also have those articulation opportunities in place with our post-secondary partners. When you look at the number of students that have been assessed for the ATCs, they're aligned with our enrollment trends. We are very pleased to see that the pass rate increased for the 23-24 school year. And there are 30 EOPs offered for our different program areas, but we wanted to go ahead and highlight some of just 3 specifically, and those are our track EOPs. So TRACK stands for the Tech Ready Apprentices for Careers in Kentucky. It is a business and industry driven approach allowing students to enter post-secondary apprenticeship training programs while gaining credit for the courses taken while they're at the ATC, and they also get on-the-job hours worked while they are in high school. Employers are able to tailor that program for these students specific to the employer's needs while the student is participating in that program, and they help select the CTE courses and the students for those apprenticeship programs. The track EOP opportunities are in addition to the 30 standard EOPs. So this is the Carpentry Track Assessment Trends. It started in the year 15 and 16, but we have noticed an increase in the pass rate over the years. If we compare the 21 and 22 and 23 and 24, we do see a lower overall assessment number, but we are encouraging teachers and students to take advantage of this opportunity. The 23-24 percentage pass rate for carpentry with the entire state was 61%. So if you look at the ATC passage rate of 65%, it's doing a little better than the state average as a whole. I will also note that the state average does include the passage rate from the ATCs as well. Next slide, please. I have 3 minutes. Okay, we're gonna speed this up a little bit. With the electrical track assessment, you can see, of course, the trends there, and that we also, again, are right on par with the state average. This is a very difficult test. Next slide. We're gonna really get this down concise. Our welding track is one of the newer track assessments. It piloted not too long ago, but we're seeing that we have several schools that are now participating and enrolling their students. And as we work to get more ATCs involved, we also will be working on that passage rate as well. Next slide, please. Okay, we're seeing some really encouraging data here with our ATC senior trends, where we're seeing increased graduates with post-secondary credentials, which is really a great opportunity for these students as they go on to their post-secondary opportunities. Next slide, please. We're really good, consolidating this. With the Perkins trends, we are seeing that we're having higher concentrating students and completer students, which is wonderful, because students who are able to take those opportunities in CT and concentrate in the pathway or complete a pathway have better outcomes than students who do not. Okay, next slide, please. I really want to get to the really neat kind of projects that they did. You can see that there's increased ATC dual credit involvement. Next slide. And we have some really exciting news. So as you know, back in 2022, we had the historic flooding in eastern Kentucky. Breathitt County ATC was completely destroyed with total losses of over about $1.7 million. We are happy and excited to report the groundbreaking ceremony for the new facility. You can see in this picture that interim Commissioner Kinney, I believe, does have a shovel in her hand and help break the ground for these new facilities. Next slide, please. We also are happy to report that Knott County ATC is also getting their facilities ready to go. They were also destroyed in that historic flooding and suffered damages of about $2.1 million in that loss as well. Next slide, which is additional pictures of the facilities being renovated for students to move in when they are safe and they are ready. Next slide, please. So this is from Belfry ATC, and they're satellite students. Now, satellite is a program that isn't held on the ATC campus, but typically housed in one of the districts that feeds the center. They were able to complete their tiny house project. This is their 8th tiny house project. They partnered with KBE to get the grant funds for this. They sold this year's house for $60,000. So they were very excited about that. Next slide, please, which is just an inside view of that tiny house. And of course, the students are very proud of their work. This is a multidisciplinary project where you have students from carpentry, electricity, CAD coming together to create this project. And then they're able to see the tangible returns of their work. Next slide, please. This is from Bullitt County ATC. This is very exciting. We have 3 electrical technology students here who have been able to earn pre-apprenticeship offers from business and industry, and those offers were made at a signing at Bullitt County ATC on May the 6th. And these students were also able to earn numerous post-secondary credentials that I was going to name for you, except I'm out of time. But they really were able to take those opportunities and just stack those credentials to take with them as they transition on to their next career. This is from Four Rivers Academy. So these are some of our DECA students, and DECA is the marketing CTSO. These students were able to attend nationals, the national conference in Anaheim, California. They were successful in earning their silver seals and their competition pins. And then, of course, in between all of that competitiveness, they were able to have some free time. They went to the beach, they went to Disneyland, and I believe they also went to Universal. So they had some fun while they were there as well. Next slide, please. Trailblazer Early College and Career Academy. This is from their annual student award ceremony event. Approximately 100 students and their families came so that the students could receive their industry certs, pathway completion certificates, classroom awards, and scholarships. And I'm just going to name a few of those scholarships that were given out during this event. We have 5 scholarships, 2 from KWI Welding School in the amounts of $4,000 and $2,500 that were presented. Klein Tools awarded a $1,000 tool package to an electrical technology student. We had Jack Kane Ford awarded 2 students their top tech award, and then numerous other partners came. Ephraim McDowell, KWI, Capital City Tool, Jack Kane Ford, AE Electrical Solutions, Klein Tool, and Hitachi were all there to award the students. And Trailblazer does a student of the week. I just wanted to highlight this student very quickly. He's a welding student. Their assignment was to take something out of scrap metal, and he created an engine out of the scrap metal. So all the skills that were involved in that. So next slide, please. There were also some student successes that we wanted to kind of share some stories. And I really wanted to read this parent's email to the principal at Boone County ATC, because I do believe that it really kind of sums up why we do in education what we do for our students. And this was received by Dr. Laura Williams, who is the principal there. And it says, "Good afternoon. Well, the time has come when another chapter in my student's life started anew. I remember when my student could not stand going to high school, his freshman and sophomore year, and he definitely wasn't sure about his junior year as well. Like many, he was wandering around trying to figure out who he was, what he stood for, and truth in the world with so much data and ideals of what he was supposed to be." And the parents start addressing specific teachers. "Mr. Shear, I want to personally thank you for striving to get so many of these young future men and women to their next level in life, to let them see their self-worth and hope during this transitional time. Thank you for not allowing our differences in opinion to hinder the goal we both have for my student's success in life. He truly speaks highly of you and always has. Dr. Williams, I want to thank you for being there for these vocational students and the efforts that the vocational school puts into these students' success. You've definitely made a change in my student's life and will always be a part of him. Thank you." This parent goes on to continue to give those same accolades to all the other students and is just very thankful for their students' time at the ATC and the education that they've received. The next slide, please. At Carroll County ATC, we have the principal who was talking about their post-secondary readiness numbers and how big of an improvement that they had for this year. They increased their post-secondary readiness indicators to 86.41% while doubling their industry certification attainment for their students this past year. Next slide, please. And at Estill County ATC, this is a really great story, and I will condense it. I know I'm over time, and I apologize. We had a student who was at a summer employment, who then, when they returned to school their senior year, had to resign their position at their summer employment because they did not know that they could co-op. Well, when the student found out that co-op was a possibility, his position had been filled at his summer employer. So the principal at Estill County ATC continually contacted the employer and just practically begged, "Can you please allow this student to come and co-op with you?" And they did. And now this student is earning $48 an hour post-graduation in their new career right out of high school. It's a very condensed version. So I think that, and then we wanted to just reiterate that sometimes there is a misconception that state-run area technology centers remove local control and guidance from the local districts that they serve. And that could be, further from the truth. The ATCs are guided by their local school districts and the communities that they serve, and in many different ways. But in one of the ways is through steering and advisory committee inputs. And so recently we had some local school districts and steering committees and advisory committees at these 3 ATCs that noticed we needed to make some programming change to meet the needs of the local business and industry within that region. And so we were able to change the EMT program to carpentry and the industrial maintenance technology to HVAC at the Corbin Area Technology Center to meet the specific needs of that region and that area and the local school districts. Montgomery County ATC will be changing carpentry to HVAC, again, meeting those local needs. And Estill County ATC is changing electricity to welding. And all this is from the guidance of the local school district and the local community partners and business and industry within those regions. So thank you so much for allowing me to talk. I know I went over time. I apologize. Does anyone have any questions?
Just one quick one. You mean that they'll cease offering carpentry and add HVAC? Okay, yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent report there. A lot of great data. Thank you. And great job. I'm always enthused to hear of the ATC work that we're doing and just great data, great update. Thank you very much.
Oh, Cheryl,
Yes, I don't see you.
wondering if we ever get an overall enrollment, student enrollment count, looking at the district run career academies plus our CTE, so that we could have kind of a, like, an overall, how many students are engaged in CTE some way, somehow.
We can get that for you. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes.
I mean, we've got thousands and thousands of students across the state that are, and we really don't even think of it as a local center because we're now funding CTE in all local venues. So really, it's just that we can get you those numbers.
Okay, that would be, I was just provoked to, that question that evolved when we were looking at the enrollment.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, guys. The second item for review is the CEASD accreditation. KDE Associate Commissioner Greta Hilton and KDE Vision Director Shannon Sparkman will provide the update. You can take them as much time as you want. We've got the chairman here, so. Of course, they can't start.
All right, since we're holding secret active.
Thank you for allowing us to provide a little bit of information about this today. So several years ago, actually under the direction of Principal Roby, so it would have been at least, I think, 4 years ago when we began this process, the Kentucky School for the Deaf began the accreditation process through the Conference of Educational Administrators of Schools and Programs for the Deaf, or CEASD. This accreditation process is really about a continuous improvement process that's designed to focus on school leadership in deaf education. It was a very extensive and rigorous process from beginning to end. So initially, we engaged in an application process to CEASD, followed by a year-long self-study that you'll see when Director Sparkman shares the PowerPoint. But there were 12 specific standards for accreditation that the self-study analyzed. Then the school worked to write its own self-improvement plan, and then followed by hosting an on-site visit for administrators from CEASD to conduct a review of the school and the program with extensive interviews for KSD as well as KDE staff. That wrapped up in November of 2022, and then we received full accreditation in the summer of 2023. So I'm going to turn it over to Director Sparkman, who is going to go through those standards with you, share some of the celebrations that the school received, as well as some of the recommendations, and just a status update of where we are with those recommendations a year later.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And this was just an introduction. Associate Commissioner did a great job, and I appreciate that. CEASD is one of the oldest national organizations focused on deaf education. They've actually been established since 1868. Next slide. These are the 12 standards that the CEASD outlined for school accreditation. 6 focus on foundational standards, so the building blocks for educational programming, and 6 fall under operational standards addressing best practices in delivery of services. Next slide, please. So we have full accreditation from 2023 until 2028. We are one of 31 schools for the deaf across the country that have received CEASD accreditation. Our summary of findings include 26 commendations and 36 recommendations, which I will not go through, but I will highlight a couple. Next slide. We'll start off with our positives. Next slide, please. KSD received commendations for
improving the safety and accessibility of the campus, implementing the Slippy and ASL instructor program, and emphasizing the importance of visual language. They received commendations for their commitment to social emotional learning activities and having technology in place for learning. Next slide, please. They also received commendations for having state allocations for statewide outreach and educational resource services, for maximizing the use of ESSER funds, upgrading instructional technology, exploring options on providing additional outreach services, and for using a variety of tools to measure student growth. And for some of the recommendations, the first one, it was recommended that KSD increase communication. Have a communication plan in place from the Department of Student Life, and this is going to be our dorm life. Our director is in charge of this. This year, we hired a new dorm director, Justin Paget. And he implemented a communication system via email and printed information that he sends home weekly to families, which includes the information that's listed here. A couple of the things that are not mentioned here is that he also has Student Life represented on our KSD website, where he posts pictures of student activities and also includes staff information, their assignments, pictures. He identifies their each shift supervisor, as well as their contact information. Student Life also has a social media page on Facebook. Next slide, please. There was a recommendation for increased communication with faculty and staff as it relates to updates. Dr. Petrie holds bi-weekly directors meetings for update and planning purposes. He sends out Sunday emails to start each week fresh with important dates and upcoming reminders. KSD utilizes a Google document called Roll Call that includes important information, calendar of events. It has links to trainings. It has information about schedule changes, and that gets updated daily. The KBE staff presence has increased this year, and we've been fortunate enough to have multiple visits from Interim Commissioner Kinney, Associate Commissioner Hilton, and then also Associate Commissioner Hargis and members of her team. Karen Worth, Director of Budget and Finance, and her team have come on several occasions to offer and facilitate trainings and provide general support to our staff. Shelley Badgett, our Director of Special Education, Emma Riley, our Assistant Director, work a couple of days each week directly from that campus. I split my time between Frankfurt, KSB, and KSD to make sure that I get visits on campus each week. And then and we've had multiple various staff from the OSIL office for support during this year of transition. We've been very grateful. Next slide, please. There was a recommendation for KSD to evaluate the potential revitalization of career study options. And this is Dr. Petrie's wheelhouse. He has wonderful visions for the school. One of the things this year was that was added was the pathway for advanced manufacturing. We're making progress on engineering technology for the upcoming school year. I think he discussed some of these at his last presentation. The Media Center is something that's been a great learning opportunity for the kids. And they've also started their vlog where they interview staff, and they're able to allow parents that can't get to campus to get to know the staff at KSD, which is very nice. The Kernel Store, which is a PBIS opportunity project, will also include learning opportunities and a makerspace. Leadership, increase in leadership opportunities, and then job exploration opportunities. And we were able to work within our budget to fund a transition coordinator world of work position for the 24-25 school year, which is posted right now. So we're very excited about that. Next slide, please. Okay. A recommendation for alternative extracurricular activities. There has been definitely a surge in the energy with student participation in extracurricular activities this year, including field trips or robotics, archery, industrial arts. It's nice to see the energy that is on campus. And I've had a lot of people comment on the differences that they've seen in that energy and the increased student participation, which is
KSD graduates talked about it at graduation.
yes, it's been wonderful to witness. Next slide, please. And there is a recommendation for KSD to reevaluate its current outreach program. And we have a lot of services, events across the state, but this is actually our next area of focus. So we're looking at evaluating our entire program, data collection, our procedures, connecting with other state schools, connecting with administrators across the state to get their feedback so that we understand the needs of the families and students that they serve. We have a presentation at our upcoming DOSE Institute in September where we're going to do an overview of state schools, and we're looking forward to connecting with some of the directors of special ed across the district at that time as well. And I believe that is it. I would like to say that this year has been a big transition, not just at the school level, but at the division level as well. And given that, the gains that Kentucky School for the Deaf have made are impressive. I'm proud of what they've done over the last year. And I'm excited that this year we get to walk into the year with a full-time principal and assistant principal. And I'm excited to see what they can do.
That's awesome. Just great things, both ATC and for the School of the Deaf and so forth, the accreditation. You said that was one of 30, so I get that number right. One of 30 or one of 26 schools?
31 schools across the country, one of 31.
Okay. And how many of those, you said that received this accreditation? There's very few. With a total number that has this type of.
31 is the total number across the country.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, congratulations. Well received. I know that's a lot of work to go into that to get accredited. There's any questions?
Yeah, really glad to see on that third recommendation around career options, the strides they're making at KSD. I did note, and not in a negative or judgmental way, but of the 5 KSB graduates, only one indicated a post-secondary route after taking a gap year. So are we thinking about additional career options? I know all of them do internships at KSB, so
Yes.
that may be part of the career programming. I don't know, but are we only talking about this because KSD did the accreditation process? And so, okay.
Yes, we can certainly discuss further around KSB. KSB just doesn't have this level of accreditation just yet. We do have also the World of Work person there. We work very closely with vocational rehabilitation, who also sits on our advisory board. So lots of things are happening.
Publishing House for the Blind.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We just haven't gone through this level of accreditation through a premier blind organization with KSB today. So we
I'm
wanted
guessing
to,
it would be a similar recommendation probably for KSB. So maybe that's something Peggy can piggyback on too.
absolutely.
And what was the impetus for KSD for Toya jumping in to do it? Just, I think they're always good processes, right? Of reflection.
They are. And it not only identifies through an external lens, but it brings people to the table who are individuals who would have lived experiences with, being deaf or hard of hearing. These individuals are administrators. They typically ran state schools or other deaf programs across the nation. They've dedicated their lives toward improving outcomes for deaf children. And so, there are different layers of accreditation, through any public school that we could go through. But we analyzed that. We talked about it, thought about it, really wanted to take the journey toward how do we become a member school for this premier organization? How do we include voices of folks with lived experiences? How do we bring in those administrators who have experience running schools? And really just wanted to value that. So it was a value add in addition to, all the good work that KSD has been doing, the support that's been provided, across from the department to the school. It was really the second step for how do you not only provide exceptional educational services, but also do that through the support of deaf expertise.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, the easy thing is to not do that, right? Let's we'll just pass on that. But, good for the whole team for stepping up and engaging in a rigorous process.
And we toyed with the idea. I've been in the seat as either director or associate overseeing these schools since 2015. And we were toying with the idea at least since I got here.
Yeah.
But there's this huge readiness and willingness that you have to go through like you do with any other accredited. For are we really ready for this? And so we did a lot of self-assessments before we did the formal self-assessment. And had to get in a space where we had some level of foundation, if you will. Toya Roby was in that role for 6 years, so we had some stability in the leadership role. I had been here for a little while, so there was some stability there. We had support of, all of the previous commissioners, including Commissioner Kinney, who supported us on this journey because it wasn't easy. This was not an easy journey. And Commissioner Glass, was also involved in the interviews. He provided a lot of support. So it took the entire village to get through this process.
I think it's a great timing, last comment, I don't know, we're delaying, but leveraging this report moving forward kind of with the new leadership and new direction for KSD, I think will be really powerful. The opportunities are there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add to that. The power of self-reflection is the best leadership that we have because we're willing to look at ourselves and how can we get better. But when you do receive that accreditation, it is a seal of approval, not only for staff, but for the parents who are sending their kids there. They can feel proud of what's occurring. So I compliment you all on going through it. I can remember back in the days of that, as you said, any school-wide accreditation and exposing all processes and procedures is a scary thing, but that's what learning's about. So I applaud you. Because of time and so forth, I do need to move forward. I need to request for a motion to adjourn our meeting so that we can move back to the other meeting. Make that motion. Okay, Steve, and I need a second. By Lou, and all in favor? Nice have it. Any names? Okay. So our end time is 10:55. Thank you all for condensing your reports for the limited time that Chair Robinson gave us for our